Alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to another edition of Family Issues. Inshallah ta'ala, we are live, so please feel free to give us a call. We look forward to your feedback and your thoughts and inquiries as well. In this episode, inshallah, we will be joined by a special guest via telephone, as well as two special in-studio guests. Via telephone, we will be honored to have with us a professor from Al-Azhar University, Dr. Mahmoud Danawi. In the studio with me now is Brother Elias Townsend from the UK, a revert to Islam and also a student at Al-Azhar University, inshallah. And in the second segment, we certainly hope to have Brother Mustafa Moore. You have seen him recently on our Eid program, and also inshallah he will be performing or hosting a children's program in the near future for all of you parents out there, and children, of course. In this episode, we hope to discuss and shed light on closing the gap. That's right, the generation gap between our teachers, parents, and even our scholars with our youth. Of course, the youth are the future. So this is, without doubt, a very important topic concerning building bridges between the generations, inshallah. Well, without any further ado, let me introduce my guest and welcome him. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Elias. Thank you for being with me.
No problem. Thanks for having
me. Brother, it's nice to have you. I certainly appreciate your time. And I certainly hope to learn from what you have to say here. I know that you have children as well.
Alhamdulillah, yeah, I've got 3.
How many children do you have?
3.
What ages are they?
My oldest boy is 4, 2, and then 1.
Oh, great, yeah. Mashallah. So you have 3 young children. I also have 2 children.
Okay, mashallah.
Brother Mustafa will be joining us with the 1 child as well. At the same time, you're young.
Alhamdulillah.
So alhamdulillah, yeah, I'm 31. I feel young. I feel younger than that.
Mashallah.
So I feel like we have good perspective here,
yeah.
inshallah. So first of all, perhaps we can speak about how important is it. Perhaps we can speak about, is there truly a generation gap, and what does that term mean?
I think when defining generation gap, me personally, I think that we're discussing cultures and the way we grow up and the way we perceive life. I think our parents and our grandparents, depending on how old they are, there's a big generation gap from what I can see, from what I experienced in London. I was a teacher in a madrasa in London, and so obviously I have a lot of experiences, and one of the main issues between parents and children is definitely a generation gap. Maybe a lot of the parents, they migrated to UK from back home, wherever home may be, yeah. And they have a specific way of looking at life, and they have certain values and cultures that they expect their children to have. But if the children are raised in the UK, then they're going to adapt their surroundings. As they say, we're products of our environment.
Right.
So I think the generation gap comes in when parents and children, they differ on how life should be lived.
Yeah.
Essentially. Even looking at my own personal experiences, my parents were not born in the UK, but I was. So sometimes there's a generation gap in the sense of they may have expected certain things from me, but I may have expected certain things that were different. So it can cause some problems in some families.
If you don't mind me asking, where are your parents from originally?
Jamaica and Cuba.
Okay, wonderful.
Yeah.
Speaking of this cultural gap and generation gap, because I also fall into this, and I believe this is a big issue in the UK, in the Western countries particularly. My father's from Greece and my mother's Greek. So you put it well, brother. Your parents coming from another country, they have expectations on you that you can't meet because you're not from that country.
Mm.
However, as a child, you have the obligations and expectations from the people around you. So it's a difficult situation, to say the least, or a challenging one.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but this is the cultural gap. What about the generation gap? What about simply the age gap?
Mm.
This makes it difficult, of course, for the adult to remember and to relate to the child, right? Because it's been years since you were that age, and it's hard to relate to what the youngster is going through. Would you agree?
Yeah, 100%. Like I said, I was teaching in a madrasa, and internet and technology plays such a major factor. News gets around like in seconds. I was just messaging some of my family today in UK about there's a big storm in southern UK at the moment, and they didn't even know much about it. I knew more than them, and I'm in Egypt and they're in the UK. Also, things like internet, and when I was a teacher, like the children would be doing things on internet, like things they shouldn't be doing, and the parents don't have a clue because they don't understand the functions of the internet. They don't understand how it works. They don't understand what it is. They don't understand what WhatsApp is or what BlackBerry is. They don't know. So the children, they have you know, big issues
Right.
facing them, and the parents don't know because there's a generation gap there. They're a bit old, maybe, well, some of them are older, some of them, not all of them, but the ones that come from a different country maybe,
Sure.
and they're older, it's difficult for them, and they can't relate with. This is a big problem, the issue of relating with the children. I think we discussed on the last show the issues of hitting.
Yeah.
In UK, there's a big emphasis on you do not hit your child, whatever the case. You don't hit them at home, they're not hit at school. But sometimes the children have this issue because their parents in their day, that the teacher was like the law. My mum and dad would tell me that when they was in school, the teacher would hit you hard and hit you repeatedly if you don't behave yourself. But me growing up, I can't relate to that because sometimes the teacher would get beat up in school, depending on what school you went to.
Yeah, right. Of course. Yeah. No, I definitely agree with you. But regarding the technology,
Yeah.
do you agree? I think we both agree that the youth now are facing challenges that the previous generations didn't have.
Yeah, definitely.
So that and also and this is something difficult and challenging because the youth now look back at the previous generations and say, you know, they're out of fashion, they're outdated, they're old, they don't understand what we're going through. So isn't it important for parents then to at least familiarize themselves to some degree with technology and social media just for the sake of parenting and to be able to relate and build bridges with their children?
Yeah, 100%. That's crucial because it allows the parents to still have that role with their children.
Right.
For example, myself and my youngest son, if there's anything to do with a laptop or a PC, I already know how to do it. So I can steer my children away from certain dangers that they may face on the computers or anything to do with a mobile phone, I'll know. But let's say in 10 years' time, if I'm alive and all alive, then I will need to try to keep up with all of the technologies because I know firsthand what dangers it can lead a person into because obviously we've experienced those things for ourselves. So
certainly
it is crucial that the parents know exactly what the children are using and exactly what things that they can get up to, what dangers they face, what are the benefits involved. They need to know because at the end of the day, we're all shepherds and we're all going to be asked about
our flock.
Our flock, yeah.
Yeah, subhanAllah. Yeah. Great point, brother. Building bridges as a parent, it seems it can be difficult at times because, you know, as parents, we're working, we're busy, we take our kids to school, we expect the school does our job as a parent and we don't follow up, we're tired, we don't have time. There's many excuses, you know, in this regard. But how important is it for the father, the son, and the father, the daughter, and vice versa with the mother to build that relationship with them? And how can we build relationships and build bridges with our children? I believe, brother, activities, being active in their education, reading books, playing games with them as well, sporting activities, taking them to community events, all these are important. I believe as a father and a mother, we have to be active in our kids' lives in order for the child to respect you and to love you and to listen to you. So I believe this is how we can build bridges between parents and children. What do you think, brother?
No, I agree 100%. I mean, the Quran, it speaks extensively about the relationship between father and son, you know, or father and the rest of the family. Or the Quran and a hadith, they point us towards family unity and a close-knit. You know, for example, you know that hadith, Jannah is at the feet of your mother. You know, who should you love most? Your mum, then who's next? Your mum, etc.
Right,
so all of these things, it lead us towards having a strong family unit. But the thing that we need to understand is that, of course, the Quran says something, we accept it and we follow it, but there's a reason for it, you know. And one of the big issues that we face is breakdown of family relationships. In the UK, again,
that's your environment, your context,
it's very strange for family to sit down and eat together. Very straight. It's not something which is done. I mean, with microwaves and TV in each room.
Work and busy.
So the child he raises himself, or the computer raises him, or he goes outside on the street and the streets raise him. So the family relationships, they break down straight away.
Right.
Because the father's working maybe, the mum's working maybe, and they're all expecting maybe the school to look after the children, to cultivate the child, or they're expecting, you know, the friends outside, they're expecting them to be good, and maybe they're not. So, like you said, having activities together is very, very important. And if you look at the life of the Prophet ﷺ, we actually find that. You know, just find examples of the Prophet ﷺ praying and Hassan and Hussein jumping on his back whilst he's in salah. And one time he's on the khutbah, he's on the minbar, and his grandsons come and he picks up his grandsons and he's holding them whilst he's giving the Jummah khutbah. We find that even when the Prophet ﷺ is being tortured, when he's praying and the non-Muslims, they come and they put the guts and everything on his back in front of who? His young daughter Fatima, radiallahu anha. So we find that the young children, the young family members were always around the Prophet ﷺ. He was with them, the activities with them. You have Anas bin Malik, who was the servant of the Prophet ﷺ. You know, the Prophet asked him to do something, Anas bin Malik, he didn't do it. And the Prophet ﷺ came back later on and asked him, have you done it for me? And then I said, I didn't do it. And then I went and done it. Right. So we have these examples of the Prophet ﷺ actually doing activities with the people, with his family members. So for us now, we obviously take the Prophet ﷺ as an example. لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ. And the Messenger of Allah, you have the best example to follow. So we need to try to do that as well. We need to incorporate that in our lives, because we can't expect our children to be great Muslims. Right. It takes work.
Thank you, brother. And I appreciate those examples from the biography of the Prophet, peace be upon him, because oftentimes when you bring your small child to the masjid, people complain, you know, it's a distraction. They say leave them at home. But I always say, hey, this is our future. So I can't wait till my kid's 10 years old to teach him, to tell him, hey, you better start praying now. I want to train him now. And that's my opinion. And I start doing that young. And that's why I try to bring him. And I should do it more often also to the masjid. Thank you for bringing that up. Brother, we spoke about parents building bridges with their children. How about teachers? How can because you were a teacher yourself in the UK, okay? Yep. So how can a teacher prevent himself from being kind of like this old guy wearing a suit and tie, like this distant guy who just gives the lecture, who gives us invaluable theoretical, not useful situations, and the kid sits down playing with his iPhone and not really learning or taking anything important from him, special, not building it. So how do you work to build a relationship and maintaining that professionalism so they still respect you and don't treat you as a friend?
Yeah.
How do you, what's the trick? How do you do that?
It's very difficult. I think for myself when I was teaching, because I was a non-Muslim at one point, and I wasn't that much older than the children I was teaching, just maybe a few years older. So I'll come home from university and start and teach.
So how old were they then, like 15 or something?
15, 16.
And you were 22?
19 at the time.
Oh, okay.
When I first started. And so I can relate with them. I know what they're going through. Yeah. I know the problems that they face. Maybe some of the other teachers that weren't from the UK, and the children get into trouble, told them to stand up, put their hands up, or these kind of things. And the children, they just couldn't relate with them. Or with them, it was difficult for them. So they didn't respect them, and they told them to sit down, they wouldn't sit down. They'd rebel against them because maybe the madrasa was a bit strict, and the school, the non-Muslim school that they go to, the state school, was just kind of do as you wish.
Right.
So I think I was given a great piece of advice, and someone told me there's a difference between being friendly and being someone's friend.
Great, explain that. I like the way that sounds.
It's like you can be friendly with a student, but if you're their friend, then you bring your level down, down, and it's difficult for the child to then respect you as a teacher.
That's a great point. Be friendly, but don't be their friend.
Yeah.
But this is very difficult, a technique that this divides the successful teacher from the unsuccessful teachers. I had a short experience teaching, and I was not good at it because I couldn't create that link. I couldn't navigate that fine line.
Yeah.
Number one. Number two, if there's a culture gap, it also doesn't work.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah, I believe this is a problem also. So if you come from a different culture from the students, they think you're some like funny guy that this guy's, whether it's here in the Middle East or vice versa.
Yeah, definitely. When I was in secondary school, whenever you had a supply teacher and he's from a different country with a strange accent, there's 100%, you're not going to do any work.
Yeah.
You're not going to do any work, you're going to muck around, throw paper.
Right.
Because he's not from the culture, he doesn't understand how things work. So
yeah, subhanAllah. That's the way it is.
Cultural gap is crucial.
But what about perhaps this is the most lacking connection today, especially for perhaps the youth in your country, the UK, and over there in the States, and even here perhaps in the Middle East, the lack of bridges or connection between the scholars, the shayukh or ulamat, and the youth. I think this is very, very crucial, and I don't think it's as healthy as it could be, which results in many youth going astray.
Yeah.
And the blame, or I don't want to say the blame, but perhaps we can say the responsibility lies on both, because kids are kids in their youth, But at the same time, I don't think the older generation of Islamic scholars and public speakers and callers to Islam really make an effort to get down on their level, because they become older, they have knowledge, and they see it perhaps as what's the word I'm looking for?
Mundane.
Right, but it's like not below them, or petty.
Petty, yeah.
Or something. So I think now that there's a big disconnect between the youth and the Muslim scholars, they look at them, hey, these big guys with big beards, they don't know what's going on with sports and music and girls and all the stuff that the youth get distracted with.
Yeah.
So how can scholars stay relevant for youth?
I think the issue of relevancy is crucial. And I think first and foremost, if we raise our children to actually respect Islamic knowledge and respect Islam and respect Quran and Sunnah, then they will naturally they would gravitate naturally towards the scholars of Islam. At the same time, I think it's important for scholars to address the relevant topics concerning youth.
Yes, thank you.
I remember when we was in Lewisham, I remember at one point we wanted to have like a talk on Muslim gangsters, because there's a lot of Muslims, even up till today, they're involved in gangs, drugs, and these things. So one of the amazing things about the Prophet ﷺ was that he would always talk to people according to their level, speak in a way that they can understand. This is the way Allah sent the prophets and messengers, speak in the language of the people. So if you just bring in someone who's not from the culture or doesn't understand it, and he just says this is haram, the children are not going to understand it, and they're just going to, who's this man who, he doesn't know what we're going through. So
Dr. Fiq, I want to come back to this topic. We do have a special phone call guest from Al-Azhar University, Dr. Mahmoud Adnawi, Professor of Islamic Studies there, and we're very pleased and honored to have him with us. Dr. Mahmoud, assalamu alaikum, brother. Doctor, can you hear me?
How are you?
Really, I'm doing fine by the grace of Allah. Thank you so much for calling. We certainly appreciate your time. Dr. Mahmoud, today we're speaking about building bridges between generations. Perhaps you can speak as a professor of Islamic Studies at Al-Azhar. How important is it for you as a professor there to build bridges with the younger generation, to bring them information about the religion of Islam in a relevant way and in an interesting way? How can we do that? And how important is it also to build bridges between parents with their children and teachers and their students as well?
Yeah, actually, this is a very important issue that we really need to talk about, and thanks for raising this topic, which is very important. I think there must be a kind of dialogue with the generations, and some scholars need to change the way they are talking to such generations, because nowadays, for example, young men are interested with technology and these things, so we can such tools to come closer to those people and try, of course, to bring them or come to what's called common ground with different generations. So we shouldn't have any kind of gap between, for example, scholars and young generations, and we need to work hard to get rid of such things and try to bring them to Islam, to understand Islam. And Islam is the most amazing thing about this religion, that it matches all times. We can't say that Islam, for example, is just suitable for a long time ago, but now, no, Islam is every time. So it's a complete system of life in a way.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mahmoud. I certainly appreciate your time. Dr. Mahmoud, I know that you as a professor at Al-Azhar University, you are actually very active on Facebook as well. So how important is it for our Islamic scholars to use the new means of communication in order to reach the youth, whether it be Facebook or iPads and iPhones? How important is it for them to reach the youth using those new communication means?
Yeah, these things, or these, for example, tools like the Facebook or Twitter or these social networks are like what's called double-edged weapon. But if they could be used nicely, wisely, according to the instructions of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, according to the Islam, because Allah says in the Quran that وَسَخَّرَ لَكُمْ مَا فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَمَا فِي الْأَرْضِ. Everything in the earth has been subjected for our own service. So these things could be used nicely in a way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala pleases. Like, for example, to spread Islam, to talk about da'wah, to try to promote for good manners, for virtues that the Prophet ﷺ came with, and of course we can do a lot, and we can get more progress and improvement, inshallah, by using these things in the way that Allah pleases.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mahmoud Al-Dinawi from Al-Azhar University.
Jazakallah khair.
Jazakum Allahu khairan, Doctor. We certainly appreciate it. We look forward to seeing you in the studio soon, inshallah. You guys at home, stay tuned to this episode of Family Issues, where we are discussing closing the generation gap between parents with their children, teachers, and their students, as well as the Muslim scholars and the Muslim youth. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Never alone, you are never alone, you are never alone.
Rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to Family Issues. In the second segment, we're joined by, once again, who was with us in the first segment, Brother Elias Townsend from the UK, a revert to Islam, and a father of 3, and also Brother Mustafa Moore. Inshallah, you will be seeing Brother Mustafa soon on a children's program that has been brought to you actually by your request, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum to both of you.
Wa alaikum assalam to
And Brother Mustafa, welcome to the program.
Jazakallah khairan.
I'm glad you made it. I think there was some traffic on the way. Or
Yeah, a bit of traffic. A bit of traffic can brighten up the day, I suppose.
And inshallah, also, we're going to have some Facebook comments, you guys, that I'm going to read concerning this topic.
Okay.
Brother Elise was talking about in the first segment the gap perhaps between Muslim youth in the UK and Muslim scholars. And I believe this is relevant for Egypt as well, and possibly in the States as well, Brother Mustafa. Do you believe that the Muslim scholars now perhaps can be a little bit out of touch with the youth, and this creates a disconnect? And this is important to speak about, because if the youth are disconnected from their scholars, then they're disconnected from the religion.
Yes, that's true. We suffer from a little different thing in America, like the scholars, they don't like the situations that we come up with. Some of the scholars like, wow, they're like, this shocked,
Right,
because
right.
The situation. So the scholars don't, we in America, they just have some different situations,
Yeah, and that's unique.
So that can bring a gap also.
Yeah, and Brother Elias, also, as you said in the UK, perhaps the local mosque will bring an imam from back home, wherever that is. So now the Muslim youth don't relate to him because he's from back home, and the imam doesn't relate to the youth because they're from different countries.
Yeah.
So they don't have any kind of cultural connection, understanding. So I think this is a big problem in the UK as well as in the States. I mean, can you speak about that? For example, if there's a South Asian community, or as you guys call it, Asian community, then they bring the sheikh from Pakistan or Bangladesh or India, then the youth who are born in the UK don't relate to him.
Yeah.
Can you speak about that a little bit?
Yeah, I think one of the great things about the Prophet ﷺ was that you couldn't recognize him amongst or differentiate him from his companions. So someone would come in and say, where is Muhammad?
Subhanallah.
And they wouldn't know who he is because he looks just like everyone else. He's
right
just
with
like
them,
everyone else. He's right with them.
Yes.
So if you was to take maybe a sheikh now and put him in a setting,
Great point.
and sitting down, if
Everyone
someone coming,
knows.
that's the sheikh there. And everyone would know because he's different from everyone else. So
Yeah.
Thank you,
I
brother.
think it's important that we have that. You understand that the imams, they should be from the people, not necessarily someone brought from somewhere, or get someone from the people, send them away to study, then bring them back, and inshallah they can benefit because they understand the issues
Yeah.
that are surrounding.
And by the way, thank you for saying that. Brother Mustafa, perhaps you can comment on this as well. Actually, it's gotten to the point now in the Middle East here, if you have a beard, they refer to you as sheikh. And what does that mean? That means you're supposed to be the good practicing Muslim, but me, I'm just a normal guy.
No,
I can be a normal guy,
Yeah.
but you are the sheikh. So you have to be the good guy. When in fact, we're all supposed to be, inshallah ta'ala,
Without a
trying to be
doubt.
practicing.
Yeah. Without a
Do
doubt.
you agree, Brother Mustafa?
Yeah, I agree. But one thing that people need to know is that a sheikh is one of 3 things, and outside of these 3 things, no one should be called a sheikh. Okay, the first thing is a sheikh is a man who's older, a Ragul Kabir.
Yeah, an old man.
Older man.
Yeah.
The next one is a rich man, a very rich man. Okay, a very rich man, he could be called a sheikh also.
Okay.
But of course, the favorite is the one with knowledge. Okay, and I mean like real knowledge, not someone who sat up reading a book all night.
Right,
I mean someone
real, yeah.
yes, So I mean, outside of that, no one should be called a sheikh.
Right.
So the word it's a status. It's not
Right.
just but now nowadays people are just sheikh.
Right. It's lost its value essentially.
Yes.
Because it's used frequently. So yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. And also this divide now between the perceived sheikh and the regular people. That's not good as well.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and the people, like you said, we're charged with knowing. You know, one of the first things, one of the things that Allah Azza wa Jalla says is no. You know, like so knowledge is incumbent upon us. You know, so it's wajib. It's
Right, yes.
You know, we have to learn. You know, so like the brother said, you know, if you got someone who's from a situation, and maybe if you send him away and let him study and then come back, you know, he knows the situation better than anyone from the outside. You know, he's the man. You know,
Right. Yeah.
so
Certainly.
this is what the people should do. You know, they should. I mean, it would benefit the community also. You know, if like say if a masjid says, okay, look, we're going to take our money, we're going to pool our money, we're going to take this brother, we're going to invest in him, we're going to send him to this location and then let him learn, and then when he comes back, he's going to teach us, teach everyone.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Because they need to know also.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so, you know, but I mean, you know, people are, you know, I don't know.
No, I like your point though. But also parents, teachers, and scholars, I believe it is useful for all of them to know current events that are important for their community, as well as sporting events and other popular events happening in that culture. Why? Not because I care. I don't watch football and basketball and baseball anymore. I don't do all that stuff. I don't listen to music. But you know the youth are. So if you don't know about it at all as a parent, a teacher, or a sheikh, a man of knowledge, then you've disconnected yourself with the community. So I believe it's important to have knowledge and also to be aware of what's going on in order to relate to your students, your children, or your flock, as we said. Do you agree, Brother Elias?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, even sometimes when you have a sheikh come and give a lecture on, he makes like a little joke about Tupac or stuff like that.
It's helpful, right?
All of the people listening are laughing, and
It's helpful, right?
it's helpful.
Yeah,
Because they can relate to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but on the other hand, if the sheikh comes and gives a joke about something that no one,
It's funny for the wrong reason, right?
yeah, laughing, but, you know,
Yeah.
and you don't really know why.
Yeah.
So it's important to have that link. And like we said, like the shuyukh, they should be from the people, so they should know how to relate. And it's like when we was back in UK, like the imam would play basketball and he was good, like
Right,
mashallah, he's like not just treating him nice because he's the imam, but he was actually good.
Right.
So just that, like, it gives you a kind of
respect
for him and
mutual respect. Yeah,
mutual
between
respect
men.
because he's actually good. And
Yeah. We're going to take a look at these Facebook comments, inshallah. You guys get on Facebook, www.facebook.com/Huda Tv. We posted this question online there, and we will read those comments shortly when we get those up on the screen. Please continue to like and share our Facebook page, you guys. It helps us know what you guys need, inshallah. So right when the brothers get to there they are, mashallah. Ismail says, the point is that many of the Muslim men nowadays don't pray regularly, listen to music, and watch TV programs, including wasting time, seeing non-mahrams, etc. Great point. In such situations, how can a mother teach her children, especially sons, that the real laws and principles of Islam? And due to all of these, if anyone gets deviated from the right path, who will be responsible on the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Please answer it. Great point. We will try our best, inshallah. Madia Amina, living in a Muslim country, I see Islam is not in our homes or our schools. SubhanAllah, some people pray and some don't. In each house, everyone listens to music and watches soap operas. They hardly watch the news, let alone pray for our brothers and sisters in other countries. It isn't any wonder why war is going on from country to country. There are no bonds or Islamic brotherhood between countries. I'm taking upon myself to teach my daughter Islam and putting her in karate classes to prepare her to defend herself for whatever comes out. We truly are strangers in this world. May Allah help you, sister. Thank you for that wonderful comment. Brother Halid Al-Kilani from Dar Al-Luqman Hakim International School. Please support Dar Al-Luqman Hakim International School. Brother Halid is a teacher there, and he says there are three important pillars in any education system: parent, student, teacher. That's parent, student, teacher. Each pillar has its own job, and each also has its own unique needs. Without any one of these pillars, an education system will not achieve its targets. Barakallah Feek, Brother Halid Al-Kilani from Dar Al-Luqman Hakim International School. Brother Abdul Qadir says, please address the issue of how to argue with parents in case of differences, how to behave with them, and also whether watching karate fights on TV is okay or not. Jazakallahu khairan and shukran. Yunus Ahmed, it is simple. The Prophet, peace be upon him, told the Muslims to show compassion to the younger ones and to show respect to the older ones. If the Muslims stick to this prophetic injunction, there will be a cordial society, inshallah. You guys, thank you so much for posting those Facebook comments, and we're going to get back to those, inshallah, and perhaps later on in the episode. But if not, continue to post those at every episode, inshallah. Some wonderful comments. What do you guys think of those?
Pretty good. Great. The one about the sister talking about how we're strangers, there's no Islam, we're in a Muslim country and everyone's listening to music and watching soap operas, man. It's a reality, it's a sad reality, but this is far from Islam,
Yeah.
And the problems that's arising in the country is because of the people being far from Islam.
Right. I totally agree.
Yeah, this is like the shaitan's playground. Anytime when the people don't know their religion, he can throw anything at them. So
yeah, thank you.
And we know that we have a definite enemy in shaitan. So this is. It's something that we need to pay attention to.
Thank you, brother.
That's one other point. I don't necessarily think the issue is people not knowing. Sometimes people, they know
and reject.
They just don't accept, or they just don't want to follow it.
Yeah.
And this is due to a lot of the influences that we have on things like TV, the same TV soap operas and internet sites that they're on.
Yeah.
So I think it's important, like you mentioned earlier on, that things like Salah, we mentioned earlier on that the Prophet ﷺ said that all of you are shepherds and you're going to be asked about your flock more, you know what I mean? So really being blessed with a childhood, it shouldn't make a person backslide in their deen. It should make someone actually want to practice a bit more, and even if they don't, then they should think, I don't want my child to do what I'm doing.
Yeah, certainly.
You know what I mean? And sometimes a person may feel strange, like the people around them aren't practicing. Maybe the dad's not practicing, or the mom's doing whatever she wants, or the community. But you need to understand that the Prophet ﷺ said, "Kun fi dunya ka'annaka gharib aw 'abiru sabil." To be in this world as if you are a stranger. So don't feel bad if you feel strange. It's actually something which is good. And mentioned that Tuba lil ghuraba, that there's a tree in paradise specifically for the strangers. So don't feel bad if you feel strange, or if people are doing things that are alien, or you're doing things that are alien to them.
Yeah.
What's important is that you have this relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Doesn't matter what the people are, what they're doing around you. Because at the end of the day, who's going to judge us? Allah. Are we going to be judged by anyone else? No. Are we going to judge anyone else?
Yes,
no. Are we going to be judged alone? Yes. So it's important that we focus on ourselves. Don't worry too much about what other people are doing. And when we hear about the ayat, tell the believing men and women to lower their gaze, of course we speak about preventing us from zina and these things, but also something that strikes out to me is that it prevents you from seeing things in the society that you don't want to see anyway. Yeah. It's like that's true. It's like for a sister that, let's say she's wearing hijab and niqab or baya, whatever, and she goes to a shopping centre and she's just seeing all these people around her that are supposedly, they may not be dressed, they may seem to be having like a fun, great time or whatever, and she may naturally want to gravitate towards that. Why is everyone having fun apart from me? Likewise for us, we may have beards or whatever, and we see people without, and
they're having fun.
For some they're having fun. All the women or girls are flocking around her. Now I want a piece of that as well. A'udhu billah, but this is what happened, because that's what I'm saying. When you're dealing with youth and speaking with, this is some of the things that they mention.
Great, brother.
When we was in the madrasa and the children are asking, "Am I allowed to have a girlfriend? Am I allowed to have this? Am I allowed to have that?"
You got to ask.
questions like
you got to
that.
answer, right?
Yeah, you have to answer.
Yeah.
But you have to answer in a way that they understand, and you need to try to direct them away from it.
Yeah.
Yes.
In a way that they can understand and they can relate to.
Barakallahu feek, brother. I'm sorry to interrupt you. We actually have a phone call, but really quickly before we take the phone call, I find three types of people here in the Middle East. They know, but they reject it. They honestly don't know, or they don't want to know.
Whoa.
So you will tell them, and they say, "Oh, I don't know about that. So why don't you learn about it?" I don't want to learn about it
Yeah.
because I want to stay in this.
I-
But let's take a quick phone call, brother Muhammad Nadif from Nigeria. Assalamu alaikum, brother Muhammad. Thank you for calling.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Please, brother, speak to. Thank you so much. I'm doing great by the grace of Allah, brother. Please speak to us about the importance of closing the gap and between generations and building bridges between the youth and the elders, and speak a little bit about your experience growing up in Nigeria.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Brother Knowledge. I think as human beings, we generally have a limited perception of things. We only see things according to the angle where we are standing. And it is impossible to see things comprehensively. Hence, we disagree a lot of the time. So any disagreement or conflict requires an effort to overcome it. And this includes the problem associated with the generation gap. Many people complain of generation gap and talk about how to bridge it. When we look from the Islamic point of view, we can say that there are two types of generation gap, negative and positive. Negative generation gap means lack of communication, lack of respect, or lack of trust and care between one generation and the other. This is, of course, not acceptable in Islam. There is, however, a positive generation gap, which means independence, self-reliance, open-mindedness, fresh ideas, and fresh blood. This brings progress, growth, and development of culture and civilization. Islam stands for balance, without any extreme in any matter. Islam accepts the positive and rejects the negative. Islam doesn't teach ancestor worship, but teaches respectful relations. The Quran has criticized, on the other hand, the ancestral traditions that are devoid of the means dinul aba. But on the other hand, it has honored the righteous of tradition and the pious for fathers. So, when we are talking about how to bridge the generation gap, we can see in the Quran, for example, we have a great example. We can see people like Osama ibn Zayd, who led the Muslims when he was only 17 years old, after the death of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Many of the older and renowned companions fought under his command. Also, Ali bin Abi Talib was loved and respected from a young and tender age. He was only 10 years old when he accepted Islam and accompanied the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam everywhere. So.
Barakallahu feek. Wonderful. I couldn't agree with you more, brother Muhammad Nadif. Thank you for sharing those stories and those and that perspective. I certainly appreciate it, brother, and we look forward to having you in the studio soon, inshallah. You guys, we're going to go back to Facebook. Don't forget to support us on facebook.com/Huda TV. Like and share that page, you guys. We have Amuna Hanain, who says, everything starts with parent Islamic behavior. Great point. And Islamic practices. If he or she indulges in her or his children in an Islamic way and teaches them the Sunnah and Quran, then children should be good. And even if they got outside and Shaitan may kick them out of the faith to make sins as other children, the Islamic background will appear. And inshallah, great points. My good friend Abdul Mateen Yusuf, based in Dubai, we hope to bring Abdul Mateen, good brother here, a young man, inshallah here soon to do some programs for us. Brother Abdul Mateen is a great man. I had the chance to meet him in Dubai, a great young man. He says, it's coming down to our level and being relevant to the issues that matter to us, and sometimes Islamically complete with the conventional material that is out there. And Brother Abdul Mateen Yusuf is a young man, I believe he's in high school, and he's working on his own dawah project. You guys check out his YouTube channel, inshallah. Just punch in his name, Abdul Mateen Yusuf, inshallah. And he has a lot of stuff about being a teenage Muslim. It's really good. Islam, Abd, I think the important thing, and we got the high result learning kids stories of the companions of the Prophet, peace be upon him, stories of the pious people are of great value. Thank you, Brother Islam. We certainly appreciate that comment as well. Inshallah, you guys. Before we took the phone call, we had spoke a little bit about one of the comments, the sister said, look, we're listening to music and we're watching soap operas. And this was the exact behavior or environment that I wanted to leave. So we do find it here in the Muslim land. So, you know, people are people, I suppose. So the temptations are always there and shaitan is always there. But if we are adults and we are trying to, and we consider ourselves trying to be practicing Muslims, and we recognize that soap operas and seeing unveiled women in music has a negative effect on the heart, how bad would it be for a teenage boy or girl? I mean, so how important is it to try? So this is, if we can just imagine, right? So how important is it to shield our children from that, and create a healthy environment? But at the same time, you cannot shield them from the world, right? So how can you do this? How can you find a balance? You can't totally protect them from this negativity. They're going to be exposed to it at some time. But how can you create a child or instill in him the proper values that will give him the compass to navigate through and know that it's wrong?
Well, like one of the sites, one of the suggestions said, teaching them the Sunnah. You know, raise your children on the Sunnah, and you know, try to instill in them love for the Prophet ﷺ, love for the Sahaba, and show them how the Sahaba handle situations, how they handle problems. You know, I heard about one Sahaba. I apologize, I don't know his name, but they said that every week, you know, like the Sahaba aren't like us, you know, weren't like us at all, you know, but they talk little, you know, and whenever they talk, you know, try to talk something profound, you know. So the brother, every week he would sit and he would remember everything that he said, you know, so. You know, he would go over everything that he said, so you know, to see if he made any mistakes or, you know, to stuck for it and stuff like that. Man, that's beautiful. I mean, you know, for us, like, to remember what we said 30 minutes ago is almost impossible.
Yes,
you know, so I mean, you know, there were different people. So if we can get the children to appreciate these people, I mean, who are the best of people, you know, so and try to walk like that, and you know, leave the dunya off, you know. I mean, like you said, we can't shield them completely from it, but if we can decrease their love for it, you know, that's, you know, that would be key for them, you know, in bringing in their development.
Yes, your thoughts about how can we give them that moral compass, because they're going to go out in the world and there's bad stuff everywhere. So how can they know good from bad, right from wrong?
I think conversation is very important. You know, telling them not necessarily this is haram, but explaining to them why it is. You know, a lot of the time, we discussed this on the last show, sometimes we beat Islam into children. You know, if you don't wear your hijab, I'm going to beat you. If you don't do this, I'm going to beat you. And
there's no love behind
it. I remember I was on the bus one time and a woman came on, or a girl came on the bus. She didn't have much dress on, and she went right at the back. And
she didn't have much clothing on?
Yeah, she didn't have much clothing on. And when we got off the bus, she then put on a hijab and abaya and went in her house and went home. So she's coming out the house with a abaya and that on, and as soon as she gets out, she takes it off. And then when she's going back to the house, she puts it back on. And the parents thinking, oh my God, what's she wearing hijab? And they don't know. So it's important to have that conversation with them. And if they do start falling into certain sins or what have you, I mean, the first point shouldn't be to kick them out of the house or what have you, because sometimes, I mean, we all came to Islam and we've done things that are haram, but sometimes in those things it leads us to Islam, you know. Yeah. So it's important that we have the conversations with them, and
thank you.
I think that's crucial.
Because if you throw them out of the house, perhaps you facilitate their more sins.
It makes it worse. Yeah.
And also, I believe it's important to, when someone is doing something wrong, as we understand it, not just to scream and yell at them, as many Muslims do now, and we even hear scholars condemning, so-called scholars condemning people and saying this person is bad, when in fact perhaps we can talk to them and bring them back.
Give them dawah, man.
Give them dawah. This is our work. This is the point. Yes,
exactly.
You guys, we're going to take a Facebook comment, our last comment, inshallah ta'ala, if we can get that up there on the screen, which is www.facebook.com/Huda Tv. First of all, do your best. This is Hajar Muhammad. First of all, do your best to raise them in a way that satisfies Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then be friends. And we forgot to mention that, you guys, befriending our children. I forgot to mention that. Show them your love. Be patient as much as you can, because this age is very sensitive. And also, try to know their friends. Do something together. playing their favorite games as well. Thank you, Sister Haja. We certainly appreciate it. You guys, that's on our Family Issues page, facebook.com. If you go to the Huda TV page, you can find the Family Issues page there, inshallah ta'ala. Please be active with it. It's for you youth and the parents as well. Brother Elias Townsend from the UK, Brother Mustafa Moore from the United States, I appreciate your time. I look forward to seeing you guys next time, inshallah. Barakallahu feek, you guys, thank you so much. You guys at home, thank you for watching another edition of Family Issues. We certainly appreciate your feedback and your thoughts. Thank you for watching. So until next time, I leave you in the care of Allah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.